Dawn, and the valley is full of smoke that has not yet been made. Tōta can already taste it. He stands in the third rank with a spear 3 times his own height, and his hands, farmer's hands, will not stop shaking. Ahead of him, through the gray light, he can hear the enemy before he can see them. Hooves working the wet ground, the low groan of thousands of men breathing in the cold. Beside him, a boy from his own village is quietly being sick into the mud. Nobody laughs. In the front rank, gunners kneel behind a fence of sharpened stakes, long matchlock guns resting on the wood, slow-burning cords glowing orange at each man's side, like a line of small, angry stars. An officer walks the line, calm as a man inspecting rice. "Do not run," he says. "The man who runs dies tired." Tōta grips the spear shaft and thinks absurdly of his mother's field, of the exact weight of a full bucket of water. Then the ground itself begins to move, and the first horsemen come out of the mist, and somewhere down the line, a single voice screams the order to fire. What happens in the next hour will decide whether he remains a nameless farmer's son or begins the long, unlikely climb toward the 2 swords of a samurai. This is Japan in the age of the country at war, the Sengoku era, the late 1500s, and this is the story of what it was actually like, told through one man's eyes. He is a composite, drawn from the lives of many real men who made this same climb. Everything around him is real. His name is Tōta, and until last spring, he had never held a weapon in his life. 1 year earlier, Tōta's whole world is a village of some 40 houses folded into a river valley, ringed by mountains. His family works land they do not own, and the rice they grow is counted, taxed, and carried away by men with swords. He is a second son, which means he inherits nothing. The country has been at war with itself for over a century. Every great lord, every daimyo, is hungry for soldiers, and the cheapest soldier is a farmer with a spear. These recruits are called ashigaru, light feet, foot soldiers drawn from the fields. For a second son, the army is the one door in the wall. War pays in rice, in loot, and just often enough in rank. The greatest story of all is a barefoot farmer's son from a village like this one, who carried his lord's sandals and rose, step by bloody step, to rule all of Japan. So when the recruiting party comes after the spring planting, a veteran samurai on horseback with a scarred jaw and a voice like falling timber, Tōta steps forward. He makes his mark on a roll he cannot read. In return, he is handed loaned armor from his lord's storehouse, a lacquered iron chestplate, a wide conical iron hat, and a spear taller than the house he was born in. The armor smells of another man's sweat. He walks out of the valley without looking back, because looking back, the old soldiers say, is how you turn into a farmer again. The camp is a city of grass and smoke, larger than any town Tōta has ever seen. And the first thing the army teaches him is that war is mostly work. He digs, he carries, he walks, day after day, under a load of rice, rope, and spare sandals, until the soles of his feet turn to leather. Drill is its own kind of harvest. The scarred veteran Jubei drills the spearmen from gray morning into red evening. The long spear, he teaches them, is not a hero's weapon. It is a fence. 100 men raise it together, step together, lower it together on one shouted count, and the fence becomes a moving wall of points that no horse on earth will willingly charge. Raise, step, lower, again. Tōta's shoulders burn. Jubei walks the rank and corrects each man's grip with a bamboo switch and total indifference to complaint. Farther down the field stands the new sound of this new age, ranks of gunners learning the matchlock musket, the Tanegashima, named for the small southern island where shipwrecked foreign traders first brought it ashore a generation ago. The guns are slow to load and hopeless in rain, but a volley from 100 of them tears through armor that a family treasured for a century. Jubei says the old wars were duels, a man calling out his name and lineage before single combat. Nobody calls out their name to a bullet. At night, Tōta eats boiled rice from a wooden bowl, learns gambling songs, mends straw sandals, and listens to veterans grade the ways a man can die. He is 19 years old. He has still never seen a battle. That ends in the spring. We are back at that dawn, in the third rank, with the shaking hands. The order to fire comes, and the world splits. 100 matchlocks go off almost together, a crack like a mountain snapping in half, and the valley vanishes into smoke that stinks of burnt eggs. Out of the smoke comes sounds Tōta will hear for the rest of his life. Horses screaming, iron on iron, a man calling for his mother. Then the surviving cavalry reaches the stakes, and it is the spearman's turn. Lower. The fence of points drops as one. The impact travels up the shaft and through his teeth. For an hour there is no plan, only push and mud and Juby's voice behind, flat and steady, holding the line with words. Tōta does not feel brave. He feels crowded. But he does not run. Late in the day, when the enemy line folds, he is still in his place, spear level, when an enemy officer in fine armor stumbles out of the smoke. What happens next is quick, graceless, and nothing like the stories. Afterward, shaking worse than at dawn, he does what this age demands. He takes the head. In Sengoku, Japan, a head taken in battle is not savagery. It is paperwork. It is proof of service, presented for inspection so reward can be measured. That evening, his name, a farmer's single name, is spoken before the commanders for the first time. Juby looks at him a long moment and says only, "Again tomorrow." Reward in this world is measured in rice. Stipends are counted in koku, one koku being roughly the rice that feeds one man for a year. A great lord might hold hundreds of thousands of koku. Tōta's first grant, after more campaigns and 2 more heads, is tiny, a few koku and a place in his lord's permanent household. But it changes everything. It is his. He is no longer a seasonal laborer. He is retained. Then comes the morning that divides his life in two. For steadiness in a rearguard action that saved his company, and on Jubei's recommendation, Tōta is raised from the ranks. He kneels before the Lord's officers and is granted a surname and the right to wear the paired long and short swords, the daisho, the badge that sets a samurai apart. The farmer's second son now has a family name. When he walks through a market, people move aside. It is not respect for him exactly, but for the 2 swords, and he knows it, and wears them anyway. This is the strange truth of the Sengoku century. The wall between farmer and warrior, which later ages would call eternal, is still full of doors. Hideyoshi, the barefoot farmer's son from Tōta's childhood stories, has climbed from sandal bearer to general to master of the whole country. If a farmer can rule Japan, the men in the ranks tell each other, then anyone can rise. They are right. And then, quite suddenly, they are wrong. Because the man who climbed the ladder pulls it up behind him. In 1588, Hideyoshi, now ruler of Japan in all but title, orders the great sword hunt. His agents move through the countryside, collecting weapons from the villages, swords, short swords, spears, and guns, gathered up by the cartload, on the announced promise that the metal will serve a great image of the Buddha. Farmers are to farm. Only warriors will bear arms. A few years later come edicts that go further still, freezing men in their stations, the farmer bound to his fields, the townsman to his trade, the samurai to his lord's service. The doors in the wall, the very doors Tōta walked through, are closed and mortared shut by the one man who had walked through all of them. Tōta understands exactly what he is watching. If these laws had come 20 years earlier, he would be planting rice in his brother's shadow. Instead, he is inside the wall, permanently, and so are his children, and that is the whole point. War itself is changing too. The endless brawl of province against province is being squeezed into one final question: who rules a unified Japan? In the year 1600, that question is settled in a single enormous day of battle at Sekigahara, where Tōta, gray at the temples now, stands in the reserve of an army so vast he never even sees the fighting that decides his country's next 2.5 centuries. The winners, the House of Tokugawa, will preside over an age of peace. And peace, for a man whose entire adult life has been war, turns out to be the strangest country of all.
Tōta grows old in a castle town, on a modest stipend, in a Japan where the swords stay sheathed. His duties are guard rotations, escort work, and paper. His sons are born samurai, a rank they did nothing to earn and can do almost nothing to lose, and he catches himself resenting them for it, and then laughing at himself, an old man jealous of his own good fortune. Some evenings he climbs to the outer wall and looks past the rooftops to the mountains, rank behind rank into the haze. Most of his country stands on end like that, ridge and forest, which is why every road he ever marched, every field he ever fought for, was squeezed into the same narrow valleys and plains. The land itself herded the armies of his lifetime onto a handful of corridors, and men killed each other for the flat ground because there was never enough of it. What was it like then to be a samurai? For Tōta, it was this. It was hunger that picked up a spear. It was drill, mud, terror, and paperwork. It was 1 hour at dawn that bought a name, and a lifetime spent carrying that name carefully, like a full bucket of water from his mother's field. He dies in his 60s, in bed, an outcome so unlikely for an ashigaru of the country at war that it may be his rarest achievement of all. In the temple register, the monks record a family name that had not existed when he was born. His grandsons will polish his armor every spring and tell his story wrong, and the wall he slipped through will stand for 2.5 centuries until another age of upheaval tears it down. That, as close as we can stand to it, is what it was like.
If this is the kind of history you want to stand inside, subscribe to Arrow Witness, and we'll meet you in the next age.